I don't scare easily. Years of working late nights as a rideshare driver have desensitized me to a lot of things. Drunk passengers, creepy alley pickups, the occasional angry customer who swears they typed in the right address. I've seen it all, but this night, this was different. This was the night I genuinely thought I wasn't going to make it home. It started off like any other shift. The roads were quiet, just the occasional car passing by, headlights cutting through the darkness. I liked driving at night. Less traffic, fewer distractions. Just me, my music, and the occasional passenger. It was a little past 3 a.m. when I got the request. A pickup in the outskirts of town. At first, I hesitated. The area wasn't exactly a hotspot for rides. It was mostly abandoned lots, some rundown warehouses, and an old industrial plant that had been shut down for years. No houses, no businesses open that late. I should have trusted my gut. But I accepted the ride anyway. The location pinned to a spot near an old gas station. When I pulled up, the place was dark, completely abandoned. The lights above the pumps flickered weakly, casting eerie shadows across the cracked pavement. No one was there. I checked my phone to make sure I had the right spot, and then I saw him. He stepped out from behind the station, emerging from the shadows. Tall, thin, dressed in a tattered hoodie and jeans that looked a size too big. His hood was pulled up, obscuring most of his face, but I could see his mouth. He was smiling. I don't know how to explain it, but something about that smile made my stomach twist. It wasn't a friendly smile. It was wrong, like he was enjoying some private joke that only he understood. I thought about driving off. Every instinct screamed at me to leave. But before I could react, he was already at my window, knocking twice with slow, deliberate taps. I hesitated. Then, against every ounce of common sense, I unlocked the door. He slid into the back seat, closing the door softly behind him. The air felt thicker the second he got in. I tried to play it cool. "Hey, how's it going?" He didn't answer. I stole a glance in the rearview mirror. He was staring straight ahead, hands resting on his knees. I cleared my throat. "You got a destination in mind?" After a long pause, he muttered, "Just drive." That was the first real red flag. I forced a chuckle. "I kinda need an address, man." Another pause. Then, in a low whisper, he said, "Out of town." My fingers tightened on the wheel. "Yeah, I can't do that. Company policy." Slowly, he turned his head toward me, and for the first time, I saw his eyes. They were too wide, too focused, like he was studying me. My skin prickled. "Drive," he said again. I swallowed hard, keeping my voice steady. "I can drop you at a main road, but I'm not heading out of town." For a long moment, he didn't respond, just stared. Then finally, he leaned back and muttered, "Fine." I started driving, my pulse hammering in my ears. The roads were completely empty. No cars, no street lights, just darkness stretching in every direction. For the first few minutes, he didn't say anything, just sat there in complete silence. Then he laughed, a quiet, raspy chuckle. I glanced in the mirror. He was grinning. Not at me, just grinning. I tried to ignore it, focused on the road. Then, out of nowhere, he spoke. "You ever wonder how many people go missing without a trace?" My throat went dry. I forced a nervous laugh. Can't say I think about it much." He nodded, as if he expected that answer. "They say the human body is easy to get rid of." A cold shiver ran down my spine. "Teeth take the longest." I didn't respond. I couldn't. The silence stretched between us. The only sound was the hum of the engine and the occasional bump in the road. Then he leaned forward, close enough that I could feel his breath on the back of my neck. "Do you believe in ghosts?" I gripped the wheel tighter. "Because you're about to be one." My foot slammed on the gas. I wasn't thinking. I just needed to get away. I took the next turn without even checking the GPS. My hands were shaking. My heartbeat pounded in my ears. Then I saw it. Headlights in my rearview mirror. A car. I didn't care who it was, another driver, a cop, anyone was better than being alone with him. I flicked on my hazard lights, hoping the car behind me would notice. The man in my back seat shifted. Then, in a slow, deliberate movement, he reached for the door handle. Before I could react, he opened the door and jumped out. The car behind me screeched to a stop. I slammed on my brakes and turned to look. But he was gone. Just vanished. No trace, no footprints, just an empty road stretching into the night. I sat there, trying to steady my breathing. The car behind me pulled up, and the driver, a middle-aged guy, rolled down his window. "You okay?" he asked. I barely found my voice. "Did you see him?" The man frowned. "See who?" I turned back to my car. The back seat was empty. No sign that anyone had ever been there. Nothing. I didn't work another late-night shift after that. I don't know who or what got into my car that night, but sometimes when I'm driving alone, I swear I can still feel someone watching me.